Evan McMullin. He is the independent presidential candidate and Utah native who is polling well in that state, and he joins me now. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk about that robocall, but since you and I spoke last, it was Thursday, the race has changed quite a bit. What's your reaction to the news of the FBI reviewing Huma Abedin's emails and how the race has tightened?
Well, in my view, there's nothing new about that. I mean, the facts may be new. There may be additional things they find, but it sort of takes us to the same place as I've been, at least this whole time, on Hillary Clinton, which is that we know she mishandled classified information and emails. We know that she believes she's unaccountable to the American people. I believe she's deeply corrupt. None of this is anything new. Comey came out with this letter to Capitol Hill, to Congress. I think he probably made a tough decision among a variety of bad options. But now I think he's on the hook to give us as much information as possible. The American people deserve it. And hopefully that'll happen, although I'm not sure it will. But again, I'm not sure it teaches us anything that we didn't know before, sort of like the Donald Trump tape where he's bragging about sexually assaulting women. As shocking and as awful as it was, in my view, that was just more of the same. What are we learning here? We know that these two major party candidates are so awful and unfit for different reasons for the responsibilities they seek. And these revelations, I think, don't teach us much that's new.
So you're okay with the Comey decision, correct? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I think it's a really tough thing, because if they had new information and they were worried about it leaking, and he didn't say anything to Congress. Comey didn't release the letter to the press. He sent it to Congress, to his. They have oversight responsibility, obviously, over the FBI.
Come on,
and
Evan, you know that was going to get to the press. Come on. You know that.
Well, that's right. But he probably, and I'm not here to defend Comey, but he probably also thought the investigation would get to the press. And so it's, like I said, these are bad options either way around. Okay. You know, it's too bad that the American people will not have this investigation completely finished, likely by Election Day. It's awful. Yeah. But it's also too bad that we don't have Donald Trump's tax returns. It's also too bad that we won't know what the full extent of his relationship to Putin is. I mean, that's also an investigation we should know about. But look, this is the point.
But the FBI is not commenting on that, though, and that's why Democrats and the Clinton campaign are saying it's a double standard. Do you think it's a double standard?
I think, I guess it would be a double standard. Yes, absolutely. I think some Republicans in Congress have blocked efforts, you know, and I'm a conservative. I'm not here to defend the Democrats so much, but the reality is the Democrats have advocated in Congress for an investigation of Donald Trump's ties to Russia. I believe, I'm told that's happening, that the FBI is pursuing something there. That's what I'm reading anyway. But the Republicans in the House and in the Senate should not be blocking an investigation of that. This is a national security issue. Yeah, okay. Donald Trump's relationship to Vladimir Putin poses a true threat to our democracy, and we need to be investigating that. It's just really disappointing that the Republicans' leadership would be blocking it.
So let's talk about that. You know, one of the main reasons we have you here now is that ugly, very ugly robocall making its way around Utah, paid for by white supremacists in support of Donald Trump. I want to play it, and I want to get your reaction.
Sure.
Hello, my name is William Johnson. I'm a farmer and a white nationalist. I make this call against Evan McMullin and in support of Donald Trump. Evan McMullin is an open borders amnesty supporter. Evan has two mommies. His mother is a lesbian married to another woman. Evan is okay with that. Indeed, Evan supports the Supreme Court ruling legalizing gay marriage. Evan is over 40 years old and is not married and doesn't even have a girlfriend. I believe Evan is a closet homosexual. Don't vote for Evan McMullin. Vote for Donald Trump.
Okay, so we'll get to the substance of that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. I can't even explain. You said that this is just the kind of thing that Donald Trump has encouraged. Sean Spicer with the RNC took issue with your response. This is how he put it earlier on CNN.
The call is disgusting. It's reprehensible, and it was inappropriately denounced by the campaign. But for him to then turn it back on them is equal, you know, is almost as reprehensible. To continue to give this legs when they've made it very clear that this is not the kind of campaign that they want to be associated with, not the kind of people or tactics they want to be associated with. To give it breath is to kind of, in fact, help someone like this get their message out there, which is not a good thing. But for Evan to turn it back on the Trump campaign that came out very forcefully and denounced this is really not in good keeping.
What do you say to that, Evan?
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, that response is just absurd. I mean, the idea that my condemnation of a white supremacist robocall to the people of Utah is in some way comparable to the call itself. It attacks my mother. It spreads lies about me. It misrepresents my positions on issues. I mean, look, it's sort of a bizarre response from the RNC. And now we have more of these robocalls tonight in Utah with a different script but the same message. And I'm being told by some of our sources that the RNC is actually behind it. And so, you know, look, I reject the white supremacist movement. I reject the Trump campaign's support of that movement, and I believe it has supported that movement, and it has enjoyed the support of that movement. I believe that they are behind this as well, and that they should be accountable for it. And it's not enough for some junior staffer to condemn the call. Donald Trump himself should condemn the call.
Yeah, well, Hope Hicks did. She tweeted this
Yeah.
out. They said, we strongly condemn the rhetoric and these activities in which we have no knowledge. And so they're saying that. But again here, you're saying that you believe the RNC is behind this. What evidence do you have that the RNC is behind this?
Well, yeah, as you might imagine, we have people who we talk to there who are sympathetic to what we're doing, and we hear from them time to time, and that's what we're hearing, that they're very concerned about what's happening in Utah. They've stuck with this flawed, bigoted, sexist candidate in Donald Trump, and he's doing terribly. They're on the verge of losing their most reliable state, Utah, and so they're scared. And they're resorting to tactics that are very ugly, that continue to divide our country. That's what Donald Trump's campaign is about. And the Republican Party, the RNC, is stuck with them through all of this. I mean, this is just, it's terrible. As somebody who's voted Republican my entire life until now, as somebody who's been a lifelong conservative, it's just awful to see this happen. But it is what it is, and we're standing up, and we will not be intimidated. I'm now receiving death threats from white supremacists. I knew that would happen. I faced a lot worse, though, and we will keep fighting.
It's interesting, though, that someone would think that it was a bad thing. You're not gay, but if you were, why would that be a bad thing? But in their minds, it's something. It's not that. It's that. It's just that it's a lie about you, which is indefensible.
That's right. Well, they misrepresent my position on immigration as well.
Yeah.
I am not an open borders guy. I think we need to secure our borders. I think we need to enforce our laws. I am opposed to the deportation of 11 million people. And so they want to say that's amnesty, and they want to say that's for open borders. And that's just a misrepresentation of what I believe. But again, not a surprise. This is what I expect from the Donald Trump campaign and from his supporters. You know, it's not only avowed white supremacists who are making these attacks. You know, it's other Donald Trump supporters. Lou Dobbs the other day lashed out, calling me a member of the Mormon Mafia, something that, you know, I still wonder what that is. I'd love to hear him describe it. But this is the kind of ugliness. They've attacked my faith. They've attacked my service. They've attacked my mother. And this is what the Donald Trump campaign is about. And the RNC and Republican leaders are standing with him.
Yeah.
These aren't the kind of Republicans I grew up with and that I know and who I love. But these are a part of the Republican establishment that I think has gone down a terrible road, and it's so destructive for our country.
You asked earlier on Twitter, this is your nominee and your supporter. They're defining you with white nationalism. Will you continue to embrace them? And you were taking on the GOP establishment. But here's my question to you. There is a scenario where if you win Utah's 6 electoral votes, but Donald Trump wins all of the battleground states plus New Hampshire and one of Maine's electoral votes, the electoral vote could end up being Clinton 268, Trump 264, sending the decision to the House of Representatives. I think that's what you want. What happens then?
Well, then the House would get to choose between the top 3 finishers. That would be Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and me in the scenario you laid out. Each state would get 1 vote, regardless of their population or size. Every state gets 1 vote. And we would compete for those votes. And I think we would compete very effectively in that environment. This has been a tough race, but you know, I'm a conservative. I'm the only conservative in this race. If the states believe that they want somebody, the Republican states, to represent what they say are their values, which I believe for many they still remain important to them, despite this nominee in Donald Trump who doesn't reflect those values. I think also Democrats, if they don't have control of the House, and they're unlikely to, they'll look at the situation and say, well, we don't have the votes to elect Hillary Clinton. Who do we want, Evan McMullin or Donald Trump?
Okay.
So I think we could emerge as the consensus candidate.
I got to run. Evan McMullin, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Don.